Stefanski's history with young quarterbacks isn't just shaky, it's a warning. His mishandling of previous prospects, his over-engineering of simple decisions, and his refusal to let natural talent shine have all caught up to him. So when Shedeur Sanders started emerging as a clear leader in camp, Stefanski hesitated again. But this time, the front office didn't wait. Stepped in, made the call, and the message was clear. No more wasted potential. Now, the Browns are at a crossroads that will define their future. Sanders brings everything Cleveland's been missing: presence, leadership, belief. But embracing him means shedding the old culture of fear and over-control. Stefanski's methods have already cost this team time. If he can't adjust, and if Cleveland doesn't fully empower Sanders, they risk losing a talent who could reshape the franchise. The clock isn't just ticking, it's echoing.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The Cleveland Browns have been here before, on the edge of something real, something different, something big, only to trip over themselves at the worst possible moment. But this time, they might actually have the piece they've always been missing. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another draft pick or another development project. He's a force, and now he's officially been handed the keys, but not by the head coach. Jimmy Haslam didn't just name a starter. He took over the one job that absolutely defines a head coach's control: quarterback. And when the owner of the team bypasses his coach to install the new face of the franchise, you know something is broken. Kevin Stefanski didn't just get overruled. He got exposed. Because this wasn't a football decision. It was a leadership crisis, public, dramatic, and loud enough to shift the entire narrative in Cleveland overnight. Haslam saw what fans, analysts, and players have all been screaming for. Sanders is the guy. Every snap he's taken has injected life into a team that spent years stuck in second gear. He brings a different tempo, a different feel. When Shedeur is under center, the Browns look like a team that believes in itself. And yet for weeks, Stefanski couldn't or wouldn't make the call. Instead, he clung to Dillon Gabriel. Safe, familiar, predictable, but never dominant, never magnetic. Gabriel didn't take over the locker room. Sanders did. And that's where this whole thing shifted. Because in the NFL, it's not just about who understands the playbook. It's about who the team rallies behind. And there's no debate anymore. There was Shedeur. So Haslam acted. He didn't wait for Stefanski to catch up or hope that the coaching staff would come around. He pulled rank, made official, and now the Browns have a new era, whether the head coach likes it or not. That's not just a vote of confidence in Shedeur. It's a vote of no confidence in Stefanski. And no matter what spin the front office tries to throw at it, everyone knows what this is. A power shift, a statement, and maybe, finally, the beginning of the end for a coaching regime that's gotten too comfortable with playing not to lose. Because Stefanski's entire approach, his calculated pacing, his quarterback development plans, his need to script and control every inch of the offense, has consistently kept this team from reaching its full potential. Over the years, young quarterbacks have come and gone, and each one ended up stalling under a system that felt more like a straitjacket than a platform. And now he has Shedeur, a quarterback who brings his own gravitational pull, who plays with poise and edge, who doesn't just run the plays, he leads the offense. And what did Stefanski do? He tried to slow roll him like it was still a rebuilding year. It's not. The clock is ticking. And Jimmy Haslam just smashed the glass and hit the emergency switch before this organization could let another star slip away. The most frustrating part? This should have been obvious. Sanders is everything the Browns have needed for years: accuracy, awareness, confidence, and leadership. Not just as a player, but as a presence. He gets it. He walks into the room like he belongs there. He takes control. And he never flinches. But because he didn't come from a traditional mold, because the draft process knocked him over off-field narratives and media drama, he was forced to prove it all over again. And he did. He more than did. On the field, he delivered. Off the field, he earned respect. And still, Stefanski hesitated. That's the pattern. That's the problem. It's the same old fear that's haunted Cleveland for decades. Fear of change. fear of losing control, fear of letting the players take ownership of the team's identity. But football isn't just a coach's game anymore. It's a quarterback's league. And the Browns finally have one worth building around. Shedeur Sanders didn't ask for a franchise to bend for him. He just outperformed the alternatives. Consistently, clearly, and still, Stefanski stuck with Gabriel. Maybe it was loyalty. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe it was pride. But whatever it was, it nearly cost the team's momentum and could still cost Stefanski his job. Because when your quarterback is elevated without your blessing, when the owner publicly steps into your role, and when the locker room visibly shifts its loyalty to the guy you didn't pick, that's not just a shakeup. That's an unraveling. The fallout is happening now. Sources inside the organization say Stefanski was caught completely off guard by the announcement. He wasn't part of the rollout. He didn't sign off. And he's not exactly hiding his discomfort. It's a locker room split not by player drama, but by leadership confusion. Who's really running the show? Is this Stefanski's offense anymore? Or is it Haslam and Sanders steering the ship? The answer is obvious to everyone watching. And if the Browns aren't careful, this could spiral into more than just coaching tension. Because here's the truth. If Shedeur doesn't feel fully supported, if he senses even a hint of reluctance from the coaching staff, he won't wait it out. He'll look elsewhere. He has options. And if he walks, it'll be the single biggest failure in modern Browns history. Let's not forget why Sanders fell in the draft. It had nothing to do with talent. His slide was about narratives, media noise, distractions, things that had nothing to do with football. The scouts who actually watched him play knew what he was capable of. But like clockwork, the NFL's obsession with prototypes and polish caused him to miss on another real one. Cleveland picked him up, got lucky, and now they're one decision away from either turning this franchise around or letting yet another generational player walk out the door because of internal dysfunction and coaching politics. This moment is pivotal. The Browns can't afford to fumble this. Not again. If they're serious about winning, actually serious, then this can't be just a depth chart change. This has to be an organizational shift. Start him. Build around him. Redesign the offense for him. Make the team fit the quarterback, not the other way around. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a starter, he's a system changer. You don't adjust him. You adapt to him. Anything less, and they're wasting time they don't have. Stefanski still has a choice. He can get behind this and make it work, or he can double down on a philosophy that clearly no longer applies to this version of the Browns. But what he can't do anymore is pretend this is business as usual. It's not. His authority has been challenged. His instincts have been questioned. And the spotlight is hotter than ever. If he can't adapt, he's done. The fans are watching. The team is watching. And more importantly, Shedeur Sanders is watching. He's already done more than enough to earn the trust. Now he needs support, not politics, not delay, not soft talk about readiness. He's ready. The only question now is whether the organization is too. Let us know what you think. Was Haslam right to bypass Stefanski? Is Shedeur Sanders the franchise quarterback Cleveland's been waiting for? And can the Browns finally stop letting their own dysfunction hold them back? Drop a comment below and speak your mind. Hit like if you're done with the excuses. Share this if you've had it with cautious coaching killing progress. And subscribe if you want to stay locked into every twist and turn of the saga. Because this moment right here might just decide the next decade of Cleveland football. The pressure in Cleveland right now isn't just about performance. It's about survival. Jimmy Haslam didn't just make a call. He made a declaration. We're not wasting Shedeur Sanders. Period. It was bold, it was loud, and it sent shockwaves to the entire league. Because in one move, the owner of the Browns shattered the illusion that Kevin Stefanski was still fully in control of this team. The quarterback decision is the most sacred power a head coach holds. And Haslam just yanked out of Stefanski's hands without blinking. That doesn't happen unless something is seriously broken. And it is. Stefanski's reluctance to back Shedeur was never about logic. It was never about development or readiness. It was about control, about sticking to the plan, about forcing a quarterback, a leader, to earn a seat at the table he'd already built himself. And in the process, Stefanski not only alienated Sanders, but risked losing the locker room, the fan base, and maybe even the entire direction of the franchise. Because when you've got a quarterback who's clearly the best option, and not just by talent, but by impact, you don't stall. You don't bench him behind someone like Dylan Gabriel, who never took command. You don't waste momentum. You lean all the way in. The players know it. The fans know it. And now, ownership has finally acknowledged it. The reality is, Shedeur has already taken over this team emotionally. The guys on the field respond to him. The tempo changes. The intensity spikes. He brings that rare blend of calm and fire, the kind that doesn't just move the chains. It changes a culture. That kind of presence doesn't come around often. And when it does, the job of a competent coach is to recognize it early and build everything around it. Instead, Stefanski tried to gatekeep it, and now he's been completely, publicly overruled. This isn't just about Stefanski making a bad call. This is about a coach failing to read the moment. The franchise finally has a chance to pivot from a history of instability and mediocrity, and the one guy tasked with making that pivot froze. Haslam didn't. He stepped in and made the move Stefanski was too hesitant or too proud to make. And let's be honest, it wasn't just overdue. It was necessary. Because if Cleveland kept dragging its feet, they weren't just risking a few losses. They were risking Shedeur walking. And if you think that's unrealistic, think again. We are in an era where quarterbacks know their value, know their leverage, and know when they're being mishandled. Sanders is smart enough to read between the lines. If the people running the team don't fully trust him, why would he stick around? He could easily find a franchise that does. A system that bends to his strengths instead of forcing him to earn what he's already shown. A front office that doesn't have to be pushed into doing the obvious. So Haslam made sure the message was loud. We see you. We trust you. We're not going to let old thinking get in the way. But that message comes with consequences, starting with Stefanski's job security. Because now that the owner is making football decisions, the entire staff is under the microscope. Every play call, every post-game comment, every snap is now viewed through the lens of, are you really backing your quarterback, or are you just going through the motions? And for Stefanski, that lens is harsh. Because it's not the first time he's fumbled a young quarterback situation. His history is stacked with conservative play calling, quarterback rotations, and a tendency to overthink talent. That pattern is catching up to him. And this might be the last straw. If he can't get with the program, if he can't adapt and actually support the quarterback his team has clearly chosen, then he's already done. Whether he walks now or gets pushed later, his future depends on whether he finally understands that this team is no longer running on his timeline. It's running on Shedeur's. And if Stefanski can't see that, he's the one holding the Browns. What's happening right now isn't just a quarterback change. It's a leadership reset, a cultural reboot. And the faster the Browns accept that, the better shot they have at finally becoming something more than a punchline. Because Shedeur Sanders has the juice. The game speaks for itself. But more importantly, he changes the atmosphere. You can't teach that. You can't fake it. You either have it or you don't. And from the moment he walked into that locker room, the players felt it. They knew it wasn't just another rookie. This was the guy. He's calm in chaos, confident without arrogance, vocal without being performative. He leads. And in a city that's seen more quarterback drama than most franchises could survive, that matters. That's why this moment is so critical. Cleveland finally has what it's been chasing for years. A real leader. A real quarterback. And now it has to choose. Build around him and start a new chapter. Or fall back into the old patterns of hesitation, pride, and missed opportunity. There is no middle ground here. Because Shedeur Sanders is not going to wait. And neither should the Browns. They've already been late once. The owner had to correct that mistake. Now the rest of the organization has to follow suit. That means Stefanski either adjusts immediately or steps aside for someone who will. Someone who won't call run plays on 3rd and long just to protect a quarterback who doesn't need protection. Someone who won't pretend like this is still a QB competition. Someone who doesn't get in the way of what's clearly working. Because let's not forget, this wasn't some preseason hype train. This wasn't media noise. Shedeur Sanders performed. He gave the offense rhythm. He gave the fan base hope. He gave the locker room a reason to believe again. And all of that was nearly derailed by a coach too committed to his own script to see what was happening in front of him. That can't happen again. Cleveland's margin for error is gone. The city, the fans, the players, they've been through too much to watch this slip through their fingers again. The excuses won't land anymore. We're being careful sounds like cowardice. He's still learning sounds like sabotage. The message now has to be clear, and it has to come from every level of leadership. He's the guy. He's ready, and we're riding with him. Anything less. And the Browns won't just lose games. They'll lose everything they've started to rebuild, too. So where do they go from here? That's the question echoing through every meeting, every practice, every locker room conversation. Does the staff embrace the moment, or cling to a version of this team that no longer exists? Because Shedeur Sanders is already leading. The Browns just have to decide whether they're going to win. The Browns are staring down a moment they can't afford to fumble. Not this time. Because this isn't just about a quarterback change. It's about the soul of the franchise. It's about whether Cleveland can finally break the cycle of overthinking, underperforming, and letting politics outweigh performance. Shedeur Sanders didn't just show up and look promising. He changed the entire energy of the team. Every time he touched the field, the vibe shifted. The locker room got louder. The sideline got more locked in. The fans? They finally saw a QB who didn't just wear the jersey. He embodied it. And what did Kevin Stefanski do? He hesitated, dragged his feet, and doubled down on Dylan Gabriel, a quarterback who never fully inspired, never fully convinced, and never looked like a long-term answer. It was loyalty. It was stubbornness. It was control. But it wasn't leadership. Jimmy Haslam knew it, and he stepped in. Let's be honest. Owners don't make quarterback announcements unless something's gone seriously off course. This wasn't just Haslam flexing. This was a desperate correction. A wake-up call. He saw the future getting stalled out by a coach clinging to outdated methods and made a move before it was too late. The message was loud. Shedeur Sanders is a Browns quarterback, and Kevin Stefanski is now a passenger on this ride, not the driver. That kind of power shift doesn't go unnoticed. Not in the locker room, not in the front office, and certainly not in the eyes of the fans, who've grown tired of watching promising moments get buried under conservative playbooks and press conference cliches. Stefanski could have owned this moment. He could have seen what everyone else did and taken the leap. Instead, he got overtaken by the moment, and now he's just trying to hang on. And that hesitation is the kind of thing that breaks locker rooms, because players want leadership that moves with purpose. When they see a coach resist a guy who clearly elevates the team, they start questioning everything. Trust fades. Buy-in drops. The spark that Shedeur brought, it risks burning out if not fed with full, unified support from everyone, especially the guy calling the plays. And that's the danger Cleveland is flirting with. Because right now, Shedeur Sanders is a gift. A quarterback with poise, talent, leadership, and presence. A guy who wants to lead this team and has the tools to do it. But he's not going to wait forever. If he starts to feel that Stefanski is still holding the reins too tightly, still doubting him behind the scenes, or still trying to fit him into a structure that doesn't match his skill set, he will walk. And when he does, Cleveland will watch him become a star somewhere else, while they're back at square one. Again, that's what's at stake here. Not just this season, but the next 10 years. The Browns don't just need to start Sanders. They need to build around him. Shift the offensive philosophy. Let him move. Let him command the offense the way he already commands the locker room. Let him be the leader he already is. Because anything less is regression. Anything less is the old Browns creeping back in. We've seen this before. Teams get a generational talent and blow it. They overcoach it, muzzle it, smother it with hesitation and bad schemes. And then they wonder why that player walks away the second they hit free agency or demand a trade mid-contract. It's not about the money. It's about the respect. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is commanding respect just by showing up and delivering. The Browns finally have someone worth betting on. But that bet has to be total, not conditional, not cautious, not let's see how he handles the pressure. He's already handled it. Now, give him the platform to do more. And if Stefanski can't let go of the control, if he can't adjust to this new reality, then the Browns need to let go of him. It's that simple. Because the future isn't waiting. Not in the AFC. Not in a league where elite quarterback play is the only currency that matters. The teams that win, really win, are the ones that move with clarity, decisiveness, and belief in their leader under center. That's what Kansas City did with Mahomes. What Baltimore did with Lamar. What Houston is now doing with C.J. Stroud. And what the Browns must do with Sanders. Right now. Anything short of that is malpractice. So here we are. Stefanski shaken. Haslam decisive. The locker room divided, but hopeful. And Sanders? Calm. Ready. Unbothered. The spotlight is on Cleveland, and not for the usual reasons. Not because of dysfunction or drama, but because they actually have a shot to rewrite everything, to flip the script, to stop being the team that almost gets it right and finally get it right. If they're bold, this could be the start of something real. But if they fall back into old habits, hesitate again, or let pride cloud progress, they'll be watching Shedeur Sanders thrive somewhere else while wondering, once again, how did we mess this up? Let us know what you think. Was Haslam justified? Can Stefanski still lead this team, or is his time up? And is Shedeur Sanders the one to finally carry this franchise out of the mud? Drop your thoughts in comments. Hit like if you're riding with Shedeur. Share this with someone who's tired of Cleveland wasting talent. And subscribe if you're locked in for every twist in this saga. Because this storm, it's just getting started.